some of you are definitely doing this. Some of you are playing Whamageddon. This is what happens every single Christmas. There is a bunch of people playing Whamageddon. There are also other people doing Secret Santa. There are people doing Kris Kringles. There are all sorts of little Christmas traditions going on. People are baking puddings. Do you bake a pudding? Do you boil a pudding? I don't know. There's probably an argument in that as well. Either way, this is Father Figures, and we're going to keep talking about Christmas traditions because, I don't know, it's fun. And you love it. You told us so. So we're going to talk about it just a little bit more before the season's done. Welcome to Father Figures. Justin Michael with you on Father Figures. Thanks for listening. Thanks for liking and rating and all that stuff. By the way, just a reminder, if you do listen to the podcast and you do like it, please go and click the likey button and the stars things. And, only 5-star reviews, obviously. Otherwise, McSolvin will come at you.
Gosh. Hey, I've got a question for you straight up. What the heck is Whamageddon? Never heard of it. What is Whamageddon? Is this something to do with the band Wham?
Correct, sir. Correct. So the whole idea is to get through the entirety of December without once hearing Wham's Last Christmas.
Right. I've heard the one for the Mariah Carey, try and get through the season without hearing Mariah Carey's Christmas song.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of Whamageddon.
Which is possibly more, it's possibly more impossible, especially for the people that watch Love Actually every year or something like that.
Yeah. We at the radio station at the Light last year they tried to do it for anyone, so you would see people, because we would play it on the radio station quite a lot, and you would see on-air announcers
every hour, on the hour.
They would run out of the room, run out of the studio because they could see the song was going to play next because they couldn't hear it. Yeah. It was hilarious.
I love those silly little Christmas games, and that's all it is. It's just a fun little, silly little Christmas game, and it's a self-reporting game, obviously, because I don't know how you get through I don't know how you walk through a supermarket for all of December and not hear those songs.
You can't.
They're just ubiquitous. They are there at Christmas. Do you have any other silly little office traditions at Christmas time?
Or office traditions? Well, in the past, so we've done a Secret Santa as a thing, but we've done the Secret Santa, and I'd never done this before. This was a couple of years ago, where you can steal a gift off someone. Oh my goodness, how traumatizing is that? Because you get that's
tension for people like you and I who no,
was
I'm
hideous.
Still mad. There was one that happened last year in our office last year that I'm still upset about.
Yep.
Because the person didn't read the room. That one person got the gift they really, really wanted, and you could tell it was just they were so enamored, and they, someone it had already been gifted once, and then they had stolen it kind of thing. And it was a lovely little moment. Everyone laughed. It was beautiful. But then on the next round, another person stole that gift from them.
Yeah.
And I'm still, and they followed it through. I still can't, I'm still dealing with it.
Yeah, same.
I can't handle those games.
I went from, I can't remember exactly what the gift was. It was, possibly a nice bottle of wine or something. It was like a $50 bottle of wine. And somebody stole it from me. And I ended up with a mixtape of Christian hits from the 1980s.
Were you on that mixtape?
Look, let's be honest. I wasn't completely disappointed with that present. However, I remember going, "Oh, you got to be joking me." So yeah, that still carries around in the bottom of my backpack. If I had my backpack here, I could pull it out and show it to you because it's still there, and that was probably 4 years ago. So anyway,
that is remarkable.
There's an office Christmas tradition. Hey, you talked in the last episode, Just, about growing up and some of your Christmas traditions of Christmas wrapping paper fights at the end of that, and I talked about throwing out accidentally gift cards and all those kind of things. What's the Christmas season look like at your house with 75 children in your house? How chaotic, on a scale of chaos, what level do we get to at your house around Christmas?
It has morphed over the years, and again, I've been in church ministry as a pastor and a musician for many, many years. So Christmas, there were several Christmases in a row where I did the carols by candlelights, 3 or 4 of them through December, multiple events. We would do a big show at our church and have five or six shows over the previous Christmas weekend. And so by the time I got to Christmas, early on raising kids, by the time I got to the actual Christmas day, I was so flat out exhausted, I couldn't get excited for it.
Yep.
So over the years, one of the big things was me trying to learn, figuring out fatherhood, right? Trying to learn how to pace myself so that I was actually happy enough to be with the family on Christmas. It was actually a really interesting learning curve for me, and I found that I had to work really hard at it because obviously I love being part of those Christmas traditions of music and carols and events. But yeah, over the years, that was one thing that changed. When the twins showed up, I mean, anyone that's had twins probably knows you go into a bit of a fog. So there was a couple of years there where, weirdly enough, so I'm getting a little philosophical here, but the year of COVID, where Christmas was a shutdown Christmas for us, was actually a real eye opener for me as a dad, because I had still stayed up till whatever o'clock in the morning making videos and things to contribute to all the different things we were doing back in that weird thing that happened. But waking up on Christmas morning, having not done 3 events that weekend, was actually a moment for me. It was a real look in the mirror moment. And so I think what's happened in the last few years is I've kind of maybe somewhere between hit an age myself, but also hit a season in our parenting where I got to let the younger crew do all that crazy stuff now, and I've got to be available for my family. So that's probably what's changed the most as the family has grown in number and age. So this year we'll have at Christmas we'll have an 18, a 16, an 11, and 2 8-year-olds in the house, and so it's a whole different beast. So, but I love being here with them. We love cooking together. Again, like we shared on last week's episode, we love tossing the paper around. We actually I think it was last Christmas, we ended up having a toilet paper fight.
Oh, so good.
With you guys might, I don't know if you use the Who Gives a Crap
toilet paper
rolls.
Yeah.
Toilet paper, yeah. They come with really beautiful wrapping.
Yeah. The outside of it. Yeah.
The outside of it. So we jokingly gave them to the kids as a present. And I don't know if you know this, Heath McSullivan, but if you take an entire roll of toilet paper and give it to an 18-year-old who's full of energy and vigor, and they toss it at you,
oh yeah, it's going to hurt.
I'm just putting it out there. You may need the phone number for the emergency room. That's all.
It's going to hurt, yeah.
I mean, you're a paramedic, so you can just so you can come to my place on Christmas and we'll throw toilet rolls. But again, yeah, some of that simple, silly, ridiculous fun and making a mess together. A mess is only ever acceptable if everyone's in on it, right?
Yeah, totally, without a doubt.
Yeah, because everyone thinks their mess is okay, and as a parent, you walk through the house going, "Why hasn't somebody tidied this up?"
Mm-hmm.
And then you figure out, hey, if we all make a mess together, then technically speaking, we're all going to clean it up together. Yeah. That's not necessarily what happened.
I don't think that's the way the rules actually play out, but you'd like to think it is. Do you think it's the role of the dad? Because I'm looking over the families that I would interact with at Christmas, and it feels like it's the role of dad to collect the Christmas paper and put it into the recycling bin. Has that been your experience? Because we talked to your dad last week, and I think that was his role, and it sounds like, I suspect that's probably your role, and it's definitely my role.
I think on our very wide sampling, it's very scientific polling we're doing.
It's 3 for 3.
3 for 3, 100%. Yeah. It's officially. So dads, if you're listening, it's your job to get the recycling and get that sorted. By the way, the dad's skill of stomping on the recycling to fit it all in the bin at Christmas time.
Yeah. Can I confess something here, that this week was recycling week for us? So, it's every 2 weeks the recycling bin goes out. And I already started calculating, so will the bin be empty on Christmas Day? Will it have just been emptied like 2 days prior? Or will I be on the off week and it'll be pretty much 3/4 full? I was already planning that. Like, there's a confession for you to speak to my OCD nature of already planning for how am I going to get rid of the Christmas wrapping.
How nerdy are you? I love that.
Yep.
But I do find at Christmas time, if I'm ever gonna do a throwback at Christmas, it's around that idea of, remember when we all had incinerators?
I've got an incinerator out the back on my deck. It literally,
really?
yeah, my granddad's old incinerator. It's literally an old incinerator. Yeah.
We all had them, right? We
Yeah.
all had them, and now we're not supposed
Well, you
to use
can't.
them,
You
sort of
wouldn't
thing.
burn Christmas paper in it, but we do burn it, like because one of my kids loves making
wood and
fires.
stuff.
But yeah, we burn proper
but
wood.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
anything that was just household rubbish.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember because again, every now and again at Christmas time, I'm like, if ever we were going to bring back incinerators, it would just be for that 1 week.
Oh my goodness, that's so good. So Christmas traditions at your place. Is there any that you currently have in place that are a Christmas tradition?
Well, there's a couple of things. So over the last 10 or 15 years, every year again, I said I've been involved in lots of Christmas musicals and plays and events, and so I've pretty much written a Christmas song every year. And I've written several Christmas poems that have been part of different things. So there was one year I wrote one called "The Bells," and the year I wrote that, it's a lovely little song. It's from the perspective of a little child talking to their mother, and the mother talking to the child about waiting for the Christmas bells to chime, and that's when you'll know Christmas is upon us. The year that I wrote that piece, it was actually written for a salvo event that was held at the Arts Centre, and it was really lovely. And so I got to hear it with the full brass band and all that sort of stuff, and the kids came. It was a lovely day. But I also wrote a poem that went with that called "The Bells," and that was then illustrated by a friend of mine, Claire Bremner, who's an amazing artist. You can look her stuff up, Claire Bremner. She's an amazing artist, and she drew the illustrations to go along with the poem, and then we turned that into a book, like a giant prop book that we used at the event. And so for the last 10 years, every year, we get that giant prop book out and we read the story to the kids, and we look at
Oh my goodness.
and we look at the pictures.
That's so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here's the Bells poem.
Come hear the bells on Christmas morning,
Waking to the heart it's home.
come hear the bells on Christmas morning.
Comfort in the restless soul. Hear the bells.
Hear the bells, hear the bells, oh, hear the bells on Christmas morning.
Come now as a child with hope.
Hear the bells on Christmas morning.
Feeling it so light should flow.
Ring the bells now, ring the bells now, ring the bells now. So ring the bells now, ring the bells now, ring the bells now. Ring the bells now, ring the bells now, ring the bells.
Well, there you go. You're now officially
Look at
part
you
of my
go.
family tradition.
You're like really grown up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what a great tradition. Have you written this year's Christmas song yet?
Well, this year I haven't written a new one, but what I did do was record my friend. You would know Deb Taylor.
Yeah.
You know Deb Taylor. She's oh my goodness, she's just one of those girls that when she sings, you just swear you're in a Disney movie.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of her voice. So she was kind enough to sing a song with me called Wonder, which was written for an event that was called Wonder. And so just recently, she came and we sang that live and recorded it like a little tiny desk concert, like a live at the Wireless thing together.
Yep.
And so that's
this year's one.
That's been really lovely as well.
That's so good. Oh, no. You've released a couple of songs recently that were sort of Christmassy type songs, wasn't it? So
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for reminding
I'm just
me. No,
reminding you of something
so
that I
if
vaguely listened to, yeah. That you sent to me and told me you must hear these things now. And I went, yeah, of course, Justin, I will. Yep.
And you've since listened to them 35 times and...
Yeah. Do you want me to sing a few now? No.
Yeah,
I won't.
sing a few bars back to
It's
me.
just going to ruin everything for us.
No, so what I did this year was I finally got around to, because these songs have been written over many, many years and there's been basic recordings done of them, but nothing nothing to the level of releasable. So this year we actually finished five of them actually, and so there's an EP you can listen to which has The Bells, it has Wonder, it has Hope Be My Hope, it has a lovely one called Precious King, which is a favorite of mine because the last voice that you hear on the song Precious King, it's sung with my friend Fatai, but on the last voice that you hear is actually Ari singing. So he has a solo on this song, and it just melts me every time because I hear him, this precious child. I think he was 9 when we recorded it.
Wow.
And
Ari being one of your
if you
kids.
do nothing else, listen to the last 30 seconds of Precious King just to hear Ari sing. It's just gorgeous. I love it.
That's so good. Man, I love that. That's what a great way to use a talent at Christmas time and to record it and have it as a memory. Yeah.
Well, again, one of the things, and we've talked about this, when it comes to parenting strategy, my parenting strategy is just bring them along for the ride. So whatever you do, try and allow your kids to be part of what you do if you can.
Yeah.
And in my case, each year we've been involved in, singing and Christmas events and caroling and stuff. So I've tried to include the kids. Now, not all of the kids love the singing, but certainly at least 3 of my children do. And they get a real kick out of being part of the choir or being part of the special kids dance or whatever it is. So we've just included them, which then, of course, brings out some of their gifts and their talents. And now I think it's probably been 3 or 4 years that the Hopi and Ari have been involved in different Christmas singing things or doing a dance or something like that in the church play, that kind of thing. And now I'm seeing that musical gift come out in them more and more. I'm seeing them get involved in the school bands and the wind symphonies and that sort of stuff. And it's funny, I just look at it and I say, that's the seed that we planted. We just brought them along for the ride and said, you can join in. And I still think that's one of the best things you can do for your kids. Just let them join in with what you're doing. And so, yeah, it is. It's, as you can tell, I'm gushing a little, but it is gorgeous to hear Ari sing and to hear Hopi sing. And I love it. I love it. I'll let you sing with me next if you like.
Oh, would you mind? Could you? Could I bring the Wise Guys guitar? It's a terrible acoustic guitar.
That real jangly sort of playing on barbed wire kind of string guitar.
Yeah, it's like an Ovation copy guitar.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I reckon, is it an Onyx?
No, it's an Applause. It's crazy.
Oh.
Anyway, gosh. So no, we'll leave the Applause at home. Yeah.
Okay, well, no, I think we, next Christmas, we've given ourselves a 12 months lead time. I think you and me possibly doing Wham's Last Christmas with the Applause guitar. I think that's a winner.
All right, done. I'm up for that.
That's Christmas joy right there. Your traditions when it comes to kids, and again, I don't know, is it interesting with the blended family or the shared parenting model? Do you guys have to discuss where the kids are going to be at Christmas and what you're going to do? How does it work for you guys?
Yeah, we usually do. So we look at the previous year and go, where were the kids Christmas Eve last year? So last year they were at their mum's. So this year they'll be at my place for Christmas Eve. But we do it all together. So usually, probably this year, their mum will come over and sleep on the couch for the night. So that when we wake up, we all wake up together and can still enjoy Christmas together. And I remember last year doing that, sleeping in one of the kids' beds last year and waking up on Christmas Day. Yeah, we do that, and then the day just sort of depends on what family you're going to. But that kind of works pretty well. We, like you say, we try to normalize those things. We try to not, we don't make a big deal of it. That's just the way we do Christmas. It's different, and the kids adapt to it beautifully. So
there's a couple of pre-Christmas traditions that I feel like I see a photo of you every year trying to lift a human being to put the star on top of the tree. And I have a hunch that in the last few years, the human being you've been lifting is actually larger than you now. Is that correct?
One of them is, yeah. So it started with, for whatever reason, it's only started with the middle child. So Fox, who's now 10 years old. So, for his first Christmas, he was born in January. So by the time Christmas rolled around, he was, almost 1. So he was at the age where you could lift him up and he understood, that this needed to go on the top of the tree. And so we just got a photo. Didn't think much of it. And then the next year kind of went, I remember last year we got that photo. Let's do another one. And then the third year kind of, we should do this again. And then probably by the 4th year, I started going, well, we should do it with all the kids, one at a time. So sort of since then, it's been one at a time. So now my oldest son, who's 16 and is larger than me, taller and not quite stronger yet, as I remind him. But we do a series of photos, and then the final photo in our series that I always post on socials is him trying to lift me up to put the star on the tree. So we just enjoy that. It's something fun, and the boys really get into it. We did that just a few weeks ago. We do it on like the start of December, as close as you can to December 1. You put the tree up. And there's no resistance from any of the boys for getting the photo. They all want to be in it, even the 16-year-old. They want to be in it.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really it's phenomenal. It's like the sort of thing that I would have thought would change over time. That they go, yeah, no, Dad, I'm done with that. But we, just chalked up another year of it. So pretty happy with that. So.
So can I just ask? Does everybody put their own ornament on top of the tree? Do you end up with?
No, it's the same one. It's the same star. And it doesn't actually get...
So you just recreate it for every child?
We just recreate it, yep. And then separate to that, we actually put the star up because you can't actually lift a child and they can't put the star up while you're holding them because it's too hard. So we just sort of get the action photo of sort of, reaching up and doing it, and then that's it. So, yeah, but it's good fun and it's enjoyable. And like I said, we got another year out of it, which was great. But the other... I'm really hoping this does not become a tradition because I've avoided this so far as long as it's been around, is Elf on a Shelf. I've avoided Elf on a Shelf like up until 3 days ago. So my youngest child, Elf on a Shelf, do you know that did you do Elf on a Shelf?
It looks very involved. And I seriously do not understand it. I don't get I don't get it.
Same.
I know so many people that go to so much trouble to make these Elf on a Shelf pictures, but it looks like a heck of a lot of work, and I don't know what the outcome is. Tell me.
Goodness. So, a few days ago, 8-year-old child Piper said, "Dad, why don't I have an Elf on a Shelf? Why don't we have an Elf on a Shelf? Everybody in my class has one, and even the classroom has one." And I'm like, all of a sudden feeling like worst dad ever, like, crikeys, everyone's into this. He'd never mentioned it ever before 3 days ago. So I'm like Googling Elf on a Shelf, where do you buy them? He goes off to school. I realise you can just buy them at Woolies for $10, So I went down and grabbed one. And then I'm like, well, what's the rules with Elf on a Shelf? What do you do? And the idea is that Elf on the Shelf is a bit like Toy Story. So the idea being that he doesn't move. The only time that Elf on a Shelf moves is when there's nobody around. And he hides in different spots. He moves into different places and does something ridiculous. So we came home from school on Wednesday. I had forgotten. I had Elf on the Shelf. I got him out of the box and I sat him on the kitchen bench, on the edge of the kitchen bench, and forgot about it. Came home with the kids from school, walked in, and Piper just stands still as he enters the kitchen, and he sees Elf on a Shelf sitting there. And his eyes widened like he'd seen some kind of magical ghost. Like it was... And then he looked at me with this big smile on his face, and he said, "Thank you, Daddy. Thank you." And I looked at him because I'd forgotten about it, and I was just sort of shocked at the same time and went, "What are you talking about? Why are you saying thank you? That wasn't there when I left." So then later on that night, so he had now I didn't realise that he had to now stay there until nighttime because no one's allowed to touch him. If kids touch him, he loses his magical elf powers.
His magic, of course.
So that's the story. Adults can
that's
touch
just
him.
understood, obviously.
Well, clearly that was in the rule book. And now I'm like, I really should have thought more cleverly about where I put him because I put him in the middle of the kitchen bench. And so now I'm trying to make dinner with Elf on the Shelf sitting on the bench because I can't move him. I'm like, oh, this is a disaster. But later on that night, Piper comes up to me and he said, "Dad," so I was walking through the kitchen just before, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw him turn his head and look at me and then look back. And it was just such a beautiful moment of, that magic of, kids at Christmas and enjoying these sort of beautiful moments. So now I've just turned it into, what are we, probably 20-something nights of moving Elf on the Shelf around, or less than that by now. But, Lots of nights of moving Elf on the Shelf around every night. Yeah.
I need to ask at this point because, dear listener, if you haven't figured it out by now, Heath loves himself a spreadsheet. Is there a Google sheet for where Elf will be? Do you have a 25-day plan? Because honestly, this is going to get overwhelming for you. You'll run out of spots. You need to plan ahead.
I know. I was talking about it last night with the 10-year-old because he wanted to put him inside the bass drum of the drum kit. He said, he should go. And I said, that's a great idea. I feel like that's a bit complicated at the moment because at the moment he's just sitting in obvious spots. He's on top of the piano. He was hanging off the cupboard door because we made a rule that Elf on the Shelf is not allowed to eat our food. And so the next night I had him hanging off our pantry door, and Piper came down to my room at 5:30 in the morning and woke me up and said, Dad, Elf on the Shelf has broken one of our rules. And he goes, you need to come down now and have a look. And it's like 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, dude, I'll do it in a minute. Like, give me, And he goes, no, now. So there I am at 5:30 in the morning coming down trying to be shocked that Elf on the Shelf is hanging on the pantry door. So, no, there's no spreadsheet, but I've certainly got a bit of a plan of how we make it a little more complicated over time. So, And then I've got to work out, what do you do with him come Christmas? Like, he's just got to disappear and I've got to hide him somewhere that Piper's not going to stumble onto him. So, anyway, it's very complicated.
I think the word you're looking for there. I mean, it's pretty easy. The answer of where does he go at the end, right?
Well, I want to use him next year. I don't want to go and buy another one.
Oh, okay.
Whereas you're going,
the word I was going to use was incinerator.
Incinerator, right? Yeah. That would be. Could you imagine if he came out halfway through that happening? Oh, the trauma, crikeys. Yeah, not in the incinerator, but anyway. Just what are you looking forward to this Christmas? We're sort of only days away really from Christmas. What are you looking forward to at Christmas this year?
This Christmas I've made, and Jodie and I have made a fairly concerted effort to make it a little calmer, I guess. So I've made sure I'm not doing any major events. We've made sure that we're just going to be available to family on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day. We hopefully will not have to travel a lot. But in all honesty, mate, I'm genuinely looking forward to just sort of that season of rest. And again, I genuinely hope that it's a season of sharing peace and joy that we're supposed to share in a troubled world. And I, more and more as the years go on, I obviously, we're grown-ups, we don't particularly care what presents come to us. We much more, and you knew it was going to happen. The adults in your life when you're a kid told you it was going to happen. Someday it'll happen where you realize you just want to see the look on a child's face as they open their gift. You don't care about yours. So I'm really looking forward to seeing those moments and giving myself enough time to stop and enjoy those moments, because I think, and maybe it's just a lesson that only years will teach you, that I just needed to slow down, particularly this year, and be available. So, so that was a bit of a philosophical response, but that's genuinely what I'm looking forward to, resting with family and telling people we love them.
Yeah. And look, you can't argue with that. I think that's a great way to spend Christmas, is to try to just be quiet, like I said, be available, try not and do everything. And we always talk about that, when you want to catch up with friends, and we'll try and do that before Christmas. And I don't know why there's this magical marker of we have to do everything before Christmas, because it comes and we collapse into it. And I think over the years I've done the same, and particularly as a dad, I think your kids kind of force you to slow down a bit at Christmas. For me, that's been the case, and you've talked about it already, that kids force you to reevaluate where you should spend your time at Christmas, because we want to spend our time with our kids, generally speaking, as parents and as dads. That's what we want to be doing. And, my heart yearns for the dads out there and the mums, I guess, that don't get the chance to spend time with their kids at Christmas. And, that's Christmas really in that case is just a highlight of the things that go on normally for us from week to week. So, if you don't get a chance to spend time with your kids at Christmas, perhaps you're not getting the chance to spend the time with the kids for other reasons. My heart bleeds for people in that situation, because we do want to share the love of Jesus with people at Christmas, and we hope and pray that people do find peace and do find a connection with their family and their kids at Christmas.
And look, just on that again, if you've got the ability to open your home, to have another person in your house, to have another, again, if ever there's a season that highlights loneliness, Christmas is one of those seasons. And we've talked about it very jovially, and right now we're probably in a blessed position to have access and connected families. But as you rightly say, mate, there's plenty of people that are going to be that feeling of loneliness might be highlighted for them. So to all my friends that are in that position, I hope that in that position to open their homes to others, please do that. It's one of the greatest things you can do at Christmas is just have a friend over for lunch. Show up at your local church that's doing a Christmas meal. Do whatever you can. Do whatever's in your. And again, it doesn't have to be. Again, people think of grandiose measures. Take simple measures to share your food, your food and the fun of Christmas with another person or another family this year if you can. It really just comes down to that greatest commandment, love your neighbor as you love yourself, and that whole thing of whatever you have done for the least of these, you've done it for me. That was the words of Jesus. And so I do think that we can take that on board as a challenge to take the joy that we have and just share it. That is the whole point. The whole point of this marker in the calendar. And like I say, Heath, it's a bit of a strange one. We want to get everything done before Christmas, get it sorted before Christmas, all that's happening before. But when you hit that moment, remember that the marker is in the calendar to remind you to be able to share in that peace and joy that the gift of Jesus represents to humanity. So again, I guess I'm probably challenging myself here as well. If you're able and you have a little bit more resource, then take time to either invite someone into your space or go to them with some food, with some fun, with something, and just make sure you're there for yourself, but for others as well as best you can this Christmas. Mate, it's been an amazing little ride here these last few months, inventing a new podcast called Father Figures with you.
Absolutely.
And I don't quite know what we've done, but I believe this is going to be our last episode for 2024. So to all who have listened, thank you so much for sharing in the joy of us making the podcast. If you've enjoyed it, if you want to rate it and write a comment, please do that. It really, really helps us. And if all that goes well, we might come back again next year. What do you reckon?
We'll be back in 2025, without a doubt. There's so many dad conversations to have. Oh, my goodness. How amazing. Thank you, brother.
Well, if you could write a Google sheet for me, mate, that'd be great.
And then I'll put it in the incinerator.
Incinerator. Merry Christmas. Love you, mate. And let's keep figuring out fatherhood again real soon.
Good on you, man.